Good morning. Today's video, we're going to introduce Paul on the topic of oikos, or kind of Paul's teaching, Paul's practice with households. In our last video, we explored a little bit about Jesus and households, how we noticed how Jesus is sometimes referred to as being at home, not like feeling at home, but like all the crowds were looking for him and they heard he was at home. That home, that house turned out to be Simon Peter's. And if you read the Gospels carefully, you find that Jesus frequently operated either out in the wilderness when he had to hide, or out of people's houses, which isn't a surprise, right? There weren't like copious amounts of public space to do this in, but he seemed to operate out of households, such that there were certain places where he could be referred to as being at home. This gives rise to questions about how Jesus viewed family and how he viewed household. And it makes you look backwards into the Old Testament. And in doing so, you see how frequently households were the significant social unit of change or even of decision. You remember Joshua says, right after, at the end of a rousing speech, he says, look, you need to choose who you're going to serve. It may be the gods from the other side of the river, or the gods here, the Canaanite gods. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, me and my household. Similarly, Abraham, when Lot is kidnapped, Abraham goes after him, and he finds him and rescues him with all the men of his household. The men of Abraham's household numbered like 300 guys, trained for war, right? So a household isn't necessarily a number of people, and that's important. In current missiology, not even missiology, in current like how to reach the world literature, people are paying a lot of attention to numbers, to group size. Like you can have 3 close friends and kind of 12 in the next circle, and this winds up being true. But then they start building a slightly larger circle than that, 20-something, maybe 50, and they start calling that oikos. This just doesn't hold together. As we'll see, oikos has a meaning, and we'll explore what that meaning is soon. But as far as introducing Paul on this, we're going to talk about it 4 different ways. Households in Paul's evangelism, or his church planting strategy, how he targeted them and how he worked with them. Okay? We'll move from that over here to oikos and ekklesia. When Paul talked about church, he talked about it architecturally with 2 terms. He used lots of metaphors, and he describes the church many beautiful different ways. But when he talks about the structure of the church, the social fabric of the church, he always talks about it in 2 ways, and only 2 ways. We'll see what those are. You won't be surprised to learn households, one of them. First, among metaphors, he does talk about the church using lots of metaphors, and we'll see where household lands in that list. And then how oikos, or household, relates to sound doctrine. That term sound doctrine gets a lot of play in certain streams of the church. And then people marry themselves to the importance of sound doctrine, and then go ahead and define it however they want. However, in the Bible, sound doctrine has definitions, and we'll look at what those are and see how they're related to oikos as well. Okay? So, next video, we will talk about households in Paul's church planting strategy, Paul's evangelism. Thanks.